Hello, hello. After doing a post on the subject of revenge, I'm going to stick it into a media context. I'm looking at a review of revenge in popular mainstream media. For the sake of identity, I'm going to delve into the past and look at the movie Dirty Dancing, comparing it mainly to Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. My personal stance is in favour of the latter, but to explain, Dirty Dancing to me perfectly represents the outlook of turning the other cheek. It allows the villains of the piece to create havoc. I suppose it lets the failure of their schemes be the sum amount of the punishment they receive. And I'm sorry, but I'm just way more reactionary than that. That's why I loved the way Three Billboards went. Nowhere in that film is anyone going to say, just ignore them, they're not worth it. Because in that town, Francis McDormand puts vengeance in a supreme light. Now, before I go any further, I should say, don't confuse things. I'm not saying Dirty Dancing's a bad movie. Far from it. First of all, I mean, retrospectively, not at the time, but now it's a refreshing take on the teen sort of romance drama. It's not like he was a teenager, but, well, mind you, neither was she. It's heartfelt, it's earnest, and it makes a real effort with its scenery and settings. The songs, written and performed by the cast, do deserve respect, because that shows a lot of effort. And its originality was pretty prophetic, as it was made before the said genre was full of tired yuck. It was sort of the time of John Hughes, before things got as far as they would, with like 10 Things I Hate About You and Clueless and maybe She's All That, but before countless insulting tripe like Honey Part 1 to 15 and Step Up 1 to a Million, Dance Me Up, I'm rich, I'm white, and you're not, so let's learn a lesson by dance. Featuring somebody. Now, that said, let's not say I don't have a few issues with Dirty Dancing. Firstly, what on earth is that place? It's some sort of weird old folks retirement village that shares a site with some chalets for rich WASP families. It provides a complimentary opening, welcome, slutty tit-shating dance class. However, I suppose you can't say it's all about nepotism and spoilt middle-class brats, as for some unfathomable reason, they appear to be able to make the children of the guests work. Carrying fruit, providing cabaret, painting the scenery, assisting the waiters. It's like, baby, I need you for something so late. It's like, she's a guest. You don't go to Butlins and start sweeping up, do you? And it does also seem to be a sort of vocational, learn-on-the-job parenting class, displayed perfectly when the super strict father of Baby, quite correctly, banishes his daughter from seeing the uber-horny entertainment staff. However, he doesn't stretch that to actually preventing her from nipping out, what should we say, maybe 10 minutes after he's told her to be deflowered by one of them. And not only that, he's also given her, his underage daughter, the equivalent to what would now today be $3,500 without asking her to justify it. She just goes up to him. Is this something wrong? No, sorry, baby, I trust you. Here you go. Money, 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 money. And finally, I suppose, on the last night, he does the right thing. He sits his minor daughter between his wife and himself at dinner. He looks like he's finally got the drift of this being a dad thing, but then, all of a sudden, Danny Zuko from the 60s comes in and has a go at him for putting baby in the corner. And at no point does he turn round to Patrick Swayze's character and say, well, actually, I will sit her there, you statutory lech. She's my daughter. She's 16. He takes one step towards him as if he's going to punch him, and then totally capitulates like a French soldier when his wife, with the ludicrous bust, cups his shoulder. I mean, before that, he goes and gives a wad of money to the sperminator Richard Burton cum Dexter Fletcher waiter to help him become a doctor somehow. I think even though the prodding waiter, for some unbelievable reason, decides to make a sort of nudge, all blokes together comment to the father of his on-off underage lemon about how all pregnant girls deserved it and all blokes should be able to blow goo happy and free, finally the dad then decides he wants his money back. And this shows progress in his parenting, so he probably gets invited back. Sadly, though, just as we think we got it going right, there is the most choreographed, unchoreographed, impromptu dance sequence outside of Rydell High School. I thought we had the realism tucked in, but no, not there. Anyway, well, that's my CinemaSins-esque analysis. But it doesn't mention, to be fair, the point in reference for this post, which is about revenge. Now, what sort of unsatisfying world is it? That horrible character, the little ratty nephew manager cunt, Neil, perfect name. He's a little wimp, but I suppose you've got to pay tribute to him for that scene where he's by the lake with Baby. I mean, it would have been marginally less subtle if he was prodding her with his erect penis and had dollar signs tattooed on his cheeks and horns coming out of his head. I love to watch your hair in the wind, baby. Squelch, squelch, thwack, ka-ching! That said, he still gets away with being basically a total bastard. He even gets a dance with Dr. Houseman's wife, Mrs. Tits. So, nothing happens to him. He doesn't pay Patrick Swayze his bonus, basically stealing from the employees, because he's violated his agreement to leave quietly and dance to some weird song with all the kids to pay tribute to an underage guest. And you know Neil ain't going to give it, because he's all about the payoff caveats. He berates Baby into becoming a set designer with the most appalling paintbrush action. Seriously, rewatch it. What is she doing? She's like Bella in Twilight trying to pour ketchup. He bullies and marginalises anyone poorer or junior to him and shows off about doing it to anyone. And he'll no doubt go on to be a fat cat pig capitalist, as he in no way shows any signs of humility or does anything to make you think he'd ever change his ways. So basically, he is Percy from the Green Mile. And rather than getting sexually assaulted by Justin Hammer, he gets to buff up to the good doctor's wife's frankly sublime sweater cows. We need to see this nepotism-soaked fascist walking date rape suffer. Not that he's the only one. You've got the spurned middle-aged housewife, whore, gambler's wife, dancer who framed Patrick Swayze's character after realising he forswore her date so he could go and rut Baby good and proper this time. It doesn't matter, she was mounting Robbie the Sperminator, so it wasn't like she had any cause to feel jaded. She was married and she was still getting some summer beefcake anyway. All we see her is sat looking annoyed. She could have ruined his career. She was spiteful and evil and would have obviously continued to be this way with each new crop of waiters and dancers because she wasn't taught a lesson. That's what movies are about. The good guy flourishing, the bad guy perishing, or at least learning and realising and changing. Here, though, if anything, she's going to be even worse. She'll be extra bitter after what happened. I've always said this. No one has more capacity for evil than upper middle class, wealthy housewives. If Hitler had been a soccer mom from up on the hill, the Nazi party would have been far worse. So in 3 years, you can bet there'll be jail cells across that state full of horny waiters framed for stealing diamonds because she never got put in her place. It's a movie trope that we need to reopen. What sort of movie would Death Wish have been without revenge? Just Shallow Grave, if they'd just left it at the end without, I don't want to put a spoiler in, but what a great ending, because it was revenge. So what about Fountainhead margin marking, Robbie? And he didn't even get a beating when he unfathomably wound up the clearly physically superior Johnny with the most ill-timed and ill-advised trash talk in history. I mean, he punched him first, maybe, but you could see that Johnny gets the better of him and decides he's not worth it. How satisfying for moviegoers to see that. God. He was happy to ruin however many girls' lives and leave kids probably to grow up fatherless in a time when that was pretty taboo. It's not like now. You got a girl pregnant and walked out on her life was ruined. Especially in upstate New York, which is a religious Catholic area. Presuming that he never ever advanced to roofies and date rape, which, to be honest, in my book, Not Robbie's, though, because he lent that to Baby. That's what would have happened. I mean, think about it. What if at the end of Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood just got back on his horse and left Gene Hackman alive and told him, "You're clearly just an unhappy person, and I'm not going to sink to your level because I've got some good friends." And that's what life is about. We, as cinema goers, work and struggle all our lives in shitty jobs and shitty lives to go to the cinema for a bit of escapism. You know, we want to see passion, vengeance, good defeating bad, the hero to ride off bloodied into the sunset. Not to have had a breakthrough, something he can't wait to share in group. Okay, Robbie doesn't get the doctor's recommendation letter, but he didn't lose anything. It's just a coincidental perk that he got that. He needed to suffer, be beaten by one of his conquest sisters, develop syphilis, or go to jail for statutory rape. I mean, look at another kids' movie, Harry Potter. Just look at the Malfoy family in that. The dad tried to flat out murder a pre-teen kid just because he caused a short in his household staff and dented his ego. The son is guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, felony assault, malicious poisoning, as well as possession of stolen materials and God knows how many other serious crimes. And at the end of it, they just walk off back to their millions because they learned a lesson. No! And that's why I love Frances McDormand, kicking that kid in the groin, setting fire to the racist pigs, going off as Sam Rockwell to fuck up that guy that needs fucking up. And it's not because he harmed them. That's not the point. It wasn't why he did it. They went off to fuck him up because he was bad. They were good, and that's a movie. We want to be thrilled, not humbled. We want a story, not a lesson. And most of all, we want the bad guy to feel the pain he causes, not to acknowledge it. So, that's my summary. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to Nicely Put. We are a new outfit trying to make our way in the world. Please go to our website, www.nicelyput.co.uk, read our blogs, and hopefully we'll see you soon for our next video. Many thanks.